Sunday, April 19th, and this is Season 4, Episode 32 of the Four Star Spurs podcast. I'm your host, Anthony. With me this week, we have Lucas.
Oi, oi.
Tommy.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
And Rick.
Hello.
We are coming to you live from the apocalypse today. As you can see by our growing out facial hair, we're all sheltering at home, except for Lucas, who works out in the field. He's an essential worker. But I just want to start the conversation with how are you guys hanging in there? I mean, I know, Lucas, you're an essential worker. How are things going for you?
Busy. I think if people don't know, I'm a paramedic. But like, I think the underlying, as crazy as this all is, like working every day and being out there helps distract me from the fact that there is no Spurs. So that actually kind of helps. That's the one good thing about this. Otherwise, I'd be going absolutely out of my mind.
And we actually had a question from Peter, who asks about Lucas specifically. Do you have that queued up, Tommy?
Yes, I do. Okay, so Lucas, this is for you. How are you holding up? And then can you share some of your experiences from the past few weeks?
I think first of all, shout out to Peter. Miss those guys. I think it's tough. The work days are long. They're difficult. They're a little bit spookier because you never know. You're trying to do your best to be wearing your PPE and all your protective gear and stuff, but there's kind of a shortage of it right now. So,
not according to Trump.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so at the beginning we had to wear N95 masks, and then you wore one for every call, and then they tell you, well, they're good for like a couple weeks. Like, so you're just kind of blindly trusting. I don't know. It's kind of hairy, but we're in good spirits though, and we really appreciate all like the people giving shout outs and keeping everyone that's out there, all those frontline workers, keeping them in your thoughts and prayers. It is really well appreciated.
Well, I think, Lucas, everybody, including us on the pod, would like to thank you for everything you're doing, because you're saving lives, and it's a great thing.
No,
I'm happy to do it.
It's huge. Like, the frontline workers deserve so much respect across the globe, not just here in the U.S. And I know we have listeners abroad, but everybody who's doing their part on the front lines just deserves our utmost respect. And it's nice that we have somebody who really can give us stories directly from the front line. So
I'll save the good stories for you guys afterwards.
But we should roll into Spurs topics because we have a very limited amount of time here. Since we're doing video recording, we're going to want to keep this a little bit shorter. So the main topic I wanted to get to first was there was this furlough story that really gave a lot of bad press for Spurs, back and forth. Tommy, how about you kind of explain what happened with that? You're our back page guy, so how about you give us the lowdown on what went on with that story back and forth?
Okay, so the gist of it is, actually, if you look on BBC.com, they talk about Spurs reversing the furlough for non-playing staff. So the general timeline is on March 31st, the club announced that 550 employees would take a 20% pay cut in an attempt to protect the jobs. My opinion will probably be different, of course, but yeah. But then it said on Monday, per the article, so that would have been the 13th. So that, yeah, it would have been the 13th. Spurs released a statement saying that non-playing staff will receive 100% of their pay for April and May. And it said, as of right now, only board members will now take salary reductions. And of course, that includes Daniel Levy. It said he earned £7 million last year. And then I'll just finalize this part. The Spurs Trust said that they urged the club to do the right thing and reverse the decision. And Daniel Levy said, "We regret any concern caused during an anxious time and hope the work our supporters will see us doing in the coming weeks as our stadium takes on a whole new purpose will make them proud of their club."
Well, this was an issue because a lot of there was only a couple clubs that handled it this way. It was us and Liverpool that kind of made this announcement, and we got a lot
I thought
of
it was Newcastle.
Oh, Newcastle. I'm sorry. That's right. And we got a little bit of egg on our face for this one. And yes, they ultimately reversed it, but this was a bad look for Spurs, I think. What do you think, Lucas?
I thought that, like, immediately I thought the exact same thing. It just, you never want to be put in that category, like, especially us, where as supporters, we're always talking about how cheap Spurs are and other stuff like that. So, I mean, you have your workers that basically are making regular person money. They're not making, like, those are the ones that you choose to cut. Was kind of, yeah, you never want to be lumped in that group. I'm glad that we reversed it and did the right thing, but yeah, right off the bat, I was immediately disappointed to hear it.
Yeah, I was a bit the same as well. But what they've done subsequently, since they reversed that decision, and what they've been doing with the stadium, is above and beyond anybody else. Anybody else. It's the only Premiership club that has a testing facility. It's the only Premiership club that has a food storage area. It's the only Premiership club that has medical facilities for maternity patients. They're going above and beyond now. The original decision was awful publicly, but I think it's just basically Daniel Levy trying to be proactive. It's Daniel Levy, but they listen to the fans, they listen to the backlash, and they immediately reversed it. And now what they're doing with the stadium is fantastic.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to jump in on that because since Rick did not read our Anthony's Word document, we're actually going to discuss it later. But Anthony, is that okay if I just read off what they're doing for it?
Yeah, go on. Let's jump to the stadium. I think it's a good transition since Rick jumped into it. Let's talk the stadium before some of the other topics.
Okay. So I got this article from the Mirror, but so I'll just outline the bullet points. The media entrance and cafes uses main reception for a welfare area for visitors and NHS staff. NFL away changing room areas are now used as a maternal day unit. TV interview rooms off of the players' tunnel as well as referee area is now used for consultation and scanning rooms. Away dressing room is now used as a midwives clinical room and staff administration office. And yeah, that's all she wrote.
Great. Well, any other thoughts on that topic before we kind of move along? We have a number of topics that we want to address. Even though we don't have matches to talk about, there's been a little bit of rumor and other intrigue going on. So I wanted to talk about the Harry Kane rumors next. Actually, I'm jumping ahead, but yeah, let's talk about the Harry Kane rumors next. So what do you guys feel about some of these rumors that Harry Kane might be leaving us?
No. I've said this before, like at least a year or two ago, and I'm like, there's a time and point where Harry Kane's going to have to make that decision. Does he want to win or does he want to make his name in the club? As of right now, he's played, 6 full seasons as a full-time starter for the club. He's already regarded as a legend. So, and from the article that I pulled for Sky Sports, quotes directly from Harry Kane said, "It's one of those things. I couldn't say yes, I couldn't say no. I love Spurs, always love Spurs. But it's one of those things I've always said, if I don't feel we're progressing as a team or going in the right direction, then I'm not someone just to stay there for the sake of it." And then he also adds, "I'm an ambitious player. I want to improve. I want to get better. I want to become one of the top players."
He also wants to stay fit because he keeps getting fucking injured.
Yeah. Well, Lucas, you had a thought?
Yeah, we had talked about it in the group chat, but it was, I think the thing with the statement that had me a little bit puzzled or a little bit upset too was that it just seemed like a really odd time to make the statement. You got a guy that's, again, Harry Kane, I've always said, is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me in my lifetime. Like, pretty bold statement, but I love him to death. But the guy has been injured for like 12 of the last 18 months. And it's like, that's the time that he comes out and says something like that. It reminded me when Danny Rose had like the scandal or whatever, where he came out to the press. Was it the Sun, that interview? That bothered me because he was like demanding more wages, and he had been injured at that point for like almost a year. And I'm like, why is that the time that you want to come out, go to a newspaper and demand higher pay? It was just the timing of the Kane stuff really kind of struck a nerve with me, where I'm like, why do you think that this was the moment? Had he been on a roll, healthy, whatnot? But I mean, the guy is injured for at least 4 months a year. He's playing 90 minutes in every England game, regardless of whether it's friendlies, Nations League, World Cup against World Cup or World Cup qualifier. It's like, yeah, I think he's going to either have to start making some smarter decisions for himself, or he's going to have to go on to somewhere else. And if we get the money that we're looking for in an offer, I would gladly say okay with it. If we were to get a really big fat check for Kane, I would sell him right now. Drive him to Heathrow myself.
It seems weird to me to say. I mean, obviously, he was the guy that we thought we were building our team around, but we're clearly gearing up for a painful rebuild here if we're not already in the midst of it. In some ways, it might be a smart time to think about selling a guy like Harry Kane, but it's painful to think about.
Can I jump in real quick? Yeah. Like, I think that's a great point, because there's something that we've kind of been hit or miss with, is the timing on when to sell players. Like somebody like Kyle Walker, I think we nailed it. But then we've had other examples where we haven't sold at the right time, and that's kind of where, Trippier is the perfect example. So I think that you can't ever let nostalgia or like personal bias, like I love Harry Kane to death, but if the offer's right, you have to be able to cut ties. I always bring up the Liverpool example. When was it Coutinho? Like, everyone thought they were insane for selling him at that time, but they used that money, put it back into themselves, and were able to get a goalkeeper and a center back and fixed areas that they needed improving. We should have probably sold Eriksen 2 years ago.
I agree with you on Eriksen. I think the difference between a Coutinho and a Harry Kane is that I think Harry Kane might have more marketing value than Coutinho. Like, you're going to sell more Harry Kane kits to the people of England than Coutinho kits to the people of England, where there's still a certain amount of value, even if he's not playing well. Having Harry Kane on your squad is a value to you. Like, I think that's what we're tackling. That's what we're tackling with this whole issue. Like, yeah, he's the guy that we could make that squad player, even if he's not that great, for the rest of his career, and probably still cash in a lot on the merchandising and the value of what else he can bring. Rick, you have a thought on that?
Well, so you're talking about merchandising, but that's merchandising for the buying club. Okay. If someone offered us 200 million for Harry Kane right now, Daniel Lee would bite their hand off right now.
I would drive him to Heathrow. I would. For 200? Done.
200 million. If someone offered them 200 million, Daniel Lee would bite their hand off. Simply for the fact of his injury record over the last 18 months. Yeah. I mean, he hasn't helped the club. Because even when he's not injured, sometimes he's not match fit, sometimes he's not in form. You know, the amount of time we've had him in form, scoring goals regularly over the last 18 months has been very, very little. Very little.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
one more point from Tommy, and let's move to the next topic.
Sure. Well, I guess the other argument, though, could be made is that he's been managed horribly in terms of his minutes. So I think it was Lucas was saying, like, he's been playing 90 minutes in and out. So, like, I think he's 26 right now. So, but he's probably got the body of a 30-year-old or 28-year-old, for example. So, I think that's I think if Jose Mourinho finally is telling him, like, if we're up 4-1, like, I'm putting you on the bench, I'm preserving those 20 minutes so you can play, or you can use that energy down the line instead of giving yourself more wear and tear. So, I mean, that could be one benefit. I know that he wants to chase his records and achieve them, but I think Harry Kane's got to be a little less selfish, potentially, and Jose Mourinho's got to be smart in terms of managing the time for the overall betterment of the club.
Rick, real fast. I'm sorry, Lucas. We'll have to cut you.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to say exactly what Lucius is thinking. I mean, that was down to Pochettino.
Thank you. That was it.
That was basically down to Pochettino. He didn't manage Kane well. He didn't manage Kane well when it came to internationals, like Lucas said earlier, with friendlies. He should never be playing a friendly. Never. Ryan Giggs did not play a friendly for 15 years. He should never be playing friendlies. World Cup qualifiers, then you have an agreement with the England manager that says, if you put him on, if you start him, and we're winning 2-0, you take him off. That kind of thing. And Pochettino never did any of that. That.
Good shout. Moving the topics along, so we have so Mourinho's with assistant manager in isolation. There was a story. This is one that you gave us, Tommy. What was going on there?
So I got this from the Evening Standard. It just said that Jose Mourinho is just living with three of the coaches during self-isolation, and there's just in preparation for a return. So anybody that's slagging him off right now, saying he's out of touch, at least you know that he's putting the effort in. So he has a home in Belgravia, I think that's how you say it, which is close to Stamford Bridge. And let's see. Okay, so Nuno Santos, goalkeeping coach, tactical analyst Ricardo Formosino, and head of first team performance Carlos Lalin. So, yeah, well,
not much to say there.
It's something to think about, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not like he's doing fuck all or just doing PR stuff by handing out food.
Yeah.
So.
No, I think it's good to see him involved. If he's going to be around for a few years, it's good to see him involved with the community element. I think that is good. Let's moving along. So I think this is a bit more of an impact story. Mourinho training with Ndombele. So obviously we've all had a lot of concerns with Ndombele's fitness and performance. What do you guys think? Is this just for show, or is this maybe an attempt to actually get some value out of this player that we thought was our record signing? Lucas?
I was so excited when I saw it because, as you guys know, I am probably the biggest anti-Ndombele guy in our group. I have so many problems with him. He drives me insane. I think he's one of the most talented players I've ever seen, but I think that there has to be some mental things going on because a player of that caliber shouldn't be performing the way he does, giving 10 minutes of effort and a lot of loafing around. So I think maybe Mourinho, because again, out with him when they were doing that workout was Sanchez and Sessegnon were out there too. And both of them are in class shape. So I don't know, maybe he was trying, had them out there with him for support or whatever. But I think that workout was mostly about Ndombele, which I was all for. Because if we're going to get anything out of this guy, fitness is the only thing that separates him from being world class.
Yeah. Any other thoughts there?
Oh, I just wanted to tie in Peter's other question.
Yeah.
Or one of his other questions. So he said when Ndombele returns to Hotspur Way, how much weight will he put on? He said over at 4.5 pounds.
Over.
I'm going to go under. I think if he's training with Mourinho directly, I think he's going to come back a little bit more fit. What do you think, Rick?
Well, if he's anything like me or probably the rest of us, he's going to put on about 20 pounds. Because of being isolated, basically all you can do is watch TV and eat, basically. Hopefully he's training. Hopefully, he's working out. Hopefully he's going to get all his issues sorted out and lose a bit of weight. I don't know whether he needs to lose weight. I don't know whether that's the issue. It just seems to be made of glass.
Or maybe he's going to train while everybody else is gaining all that weight. He's training with Mourinho directly, and he's going to come back more fit than everybody else.
Yeah,
Lucas and Tommy both have thoughts. Let's go with Tommy first, then Lucas.
Well, I'll just say this. If he gains weight, it's probably going to be muscle, I'm thinking. But, I think he can handle the physicality of the Premier League, as you can see. And Lucas was saying, his fitness level not so great. So I'm just going to say, yeah, if he loses weight, it's probably because he's been running it off and building up endurance. But if he's gaining weight, it's probably because of muscle, but he's still losing, quote unquote, the fat from his body,
Lucas?
I have a way more pessimistic view on this one.
Of course.
If he couldn't get match fit and get that fitness and conditioning done while we're training every day, how is he supposed to do it when no one's actually holding him accountable every day? I don't see a way in which, if every day with all the training and practicing and stuff that we do, if he couldn't get fit then, now that he's just on his own loafing around the house, now we're just going to hope that he goes out there and gets fit. I think easily over 5 pounds he comes back overweight.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move the topic along. So the next one that we have is the Coutinho rumor. So we just talked Coutinho a little bit. You talked about the smart move to move him to Real, or was it Barcelona? Barcelona. Back in the day, there's rumors of him coming back our way. Do you think there's any legitimacy to this, guys? Anybody? Rick?
Knowing Mourinho, as I do from past experience, he would be a manager that would want Coutinho. Whether we actually need him, whether he's actually what we need, whether he's actually worth the price and the wage, I have my doubts. But in terms of Mourinho wanting him, I can see that being the case.
Okay, I'll provide my quick thoughts. Yeah, I think that Jose Mourinho probably told Daniel Levy that I need some reassurances. I need to make a big splash. I need to make a good signing. Excuse me, to know that he's probably telling Daniel Levy, I need to make this transfer because I know he's proven, but also to let everybody, whether it be the squad or the rest of the Premier League, know that he means business. And the article that I actually shared with you, Anthony, is allegedly the transfer actually was supposed to happen last year, but it fell through, allegedly because it was Daniel Levy. So, but also the argument can be made is that Jose Mourinho would have reassurances to have a big enough transfer budget. So we'll see. But to kind of Rick's comment about the player we need, I think definitely we could use him, but also the argument can be made Lamela and I don't know who else, but Lamela I think would be gone. I love him to death, but he's injury prone. So, and even though he's a player that I think fits well with Jose Mourinho, it just doesn't justify what we need, and we definitely use a lot more talent and a winner.
Lamela's certainly a tragedy. He's so good when he's on. He can carry our team at points when he's at his best, and then he can be very cold when he's not at his best. And then when he just gets hurt so much that it's a never-ending cycle of we're never getting the full potential out of the man, and he's become like the I don't know.
This decade's Darren Anderson.
Yeah,
Darren Anderson.
There we
It's
are.
exactly
Yes.
exactly Darren
what I was
Anderson.
looking
Exactly
for.
what it is.
Terrible, but
Yeah.
that's how I feel.
But great point, and I'm going to move the conversation to the next topic. And this one's for you, Tommy, because we are going to talk Donny van der Beek. So let me know what's going on there.
Trippier broke him.
Trippier broke him?
I hope not.
He's-
I don't know. So our friend of the podcast, Joe, he hasn't been on for a while, but he's like, "Do you like him because he looks like Michael Dawson?" I'm like, I didn't think about it at the time, but yeah, there's some similarities. But I first kind of paid attention to him because Van der Beek, James Van der Beek from Dawson's Creek, and then I'm like, I'm kind of watching him play. I'm like, this guy actually looks really good. He's not getting the limelight like Frankie De Jong or Matthias de Ligt, but I think he's really good. And seeing him, watching him play this season for Ajax, I think he's emerging very well. He can play multiple positions. I know he's more noted as central midfielder, but I think in that part of the field, we could definitely use a player like him. And depending on whether it be Lamela leaves or whomever leaves, he can play, as I said, he can play D-mid, he can play attacking midfielder as well. So I haven't really noticed paid any attention to him as a person that can track back and mark or press, but he's 22, so that's definitely teachable compared to somebody 7 years down the line. So,
yeah. Do you think there's any chance?
I think, Real Madrid.
Everybody else is saying no.
Yeah, Real Madrid will be hard to say no to, which I would definitely agree with. But the biggest power play that Mourinho would have is you're going to get more playing time at Spurs compared to Real Madrid. I think that's the biggest selling point. Maybe Bergwijn. I don't know if they're good friends or not because they both play for the Netherlands national team, but those are like the only two selling points that I could remotely think of.
Lucas has a quick point. Then we have one more topic. Then we're going to go to questions and then wrap things up for the episode.
I was just going to say, I don't like the big thing is always money. That's people usually go somewhere because of money. But the other thing the only thing that's not money based, why somebody would choose to go to a club, is you believe in the manager. Loads of people would go, and that is one of the nice things about having Mourinho, is that's why Bergwijn signed. Bergwijn said himself, he's like, Jose Mourinho, the most winningest manager in Europe, came and said, I think you'll be perfect here. I want you to play for me. And he was like, I'm in. Drop whatever, I'm in. And so that's kind of the selling power that we have with Mourinho right now is, so for somebody of that statute, the only way he's going to choose to side with Spurs over like a Real Madrid, because we're not going to be able to pay him what they're going to pay him per week. The only reason he would choose us is if he really believes that he can go play for Jose Mourinho. And so that's kind of it's basically down to Mourinho recruiting.
And he can play.
Oh yeah, and get regular minutes. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's the difference. Like you go to Real, you're not guaranteed regular minutes. If you perform great, you can play. But if there's other guys performing better, you could be on the bench even if you're a terrific player. And sometimes that's the appeal. And a guy like Mourinho sometimes can be that impetus. So I see the point, but I do think it's a long shot. I want to talk one more topic before we go to questions, and it's there's a lot of articles out there about what's going to happen with the league. We talked about it a bit on our last podcast before we took this break, so I don't want to go too much into detail with this. But what do you guys think is happening with the league in under 3 minutes? Shoot, Rick.
Well, when we talked about it before, that was, a couple of months ago. And now we're a couple of months down the line. It still hasn't started. They still haven't got a start date. There's still no, idea when the country's going to open again. It just doesn't. Right now, we're at April 19th. It just does not seem viable to me to start up the league again. You've got contracts running out. You've got cup competitions that need completing. You've got European competitions that need completing. You've got to decide relegation and promotion. It's just not viable right now. But they're talking about.
So what do you, Rick? What do you suggest? What do you suggest the answer is? How do you think it's going to play out?
They just need to avoid the whole thing. It just like it didn't happen. If they try, they're talking about having a final end date on June 30th, and then having nine games to play from June 30th onwards. But that doesn't include a pre-season. The players are going to come back from quarantine. They're not going to be match fit for at least 2 weeks, and then you have player contracts running out. Then you have to open the transfer window. The transfer window will be 2 weeks. It's just not viable right now, in my opinion. I think they should just bite the bullet and just void the whole thing.
The transfer window is the problem, isn't it, Lucas?
Yeah, but it's not so. It's not just like transfer window though, because a lot of it is like schedule based. Like I agree with Rick completely, and I think that it needs like probably the best solution, the most fair solution would be to void it. And again, I'm not saying that because Spurs had a bad year. Hell, if they were to just keep it as is, and that would be the final positions, I wouldn't care because we'd finished 1 point above Arsenal, and I think that'd be fucking hilarious. But I think the fair answer is to void it because think about like schedule. We had to go to Old Trafford.
If we void it, if they void it, we still end up like 1 point above Arsenal, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's why but like I think the whole thing is to just get rid of it because you can't just because there's a lot of people that are saying that they think it should just be whatever the table is right now. Those are the end standings, and that's ridiculous and that's unfair because there's teams like us that had to go to Leicester away, United away, Arsenal away, City away. Like we had all of those games away in the front half. So we were backloaded to be set up for success in the back half. And
I think Rick's first and then Tommy.
Well, there's a bigger point.
So that's my whole thing. I think that it's just you got to just void the whole thing.
Yeah, there's a bigger point than this because if you you're talking about European games and who wins the league and stuff like that, but that's infinitely less important than relegation. I mean, if you're talking about a team like Brighton,
there's hundreds of millions.
Yeah, you're talking about a team like Brighton who are either 1 point from a relegation zone or in the relegation zone right now. They have 5 home games left, whereas all the other teams have 4. So, they've actually played more away games than all the other teams right now. So if you stop the league right now, it's unfair on them, because they have more of a chance to get more points because they have the extra home game. So it's unfair to say, oh, we'll just stop it right now and the standings are where they are. But that's, because some teams could have an easy running and some teams could have Man United, Chelsea, Man City and Arsenal. It's just not fair.
Tommy?
Yeah, my thoughts on it are, I think the season should just be void because I remember reading something about the Bundesliga. They said they're going to have, Germany in general are going to have the whole social distancing thing till at least August, or at least that's the rumor. So I'm like, and they said gatherings won't happen until then. So, and Europe in general is kind of a hotbed for this, whether it be Spain, Italy, or whatever. So I think that because of that, I don't think there's a way they can see out the season without, because the link that I saw is they want to start in June, and then how Rick was saying, play all those games, by the end of the month. I'm like, that's going to fuck a lot of people over, and it's going to ruin people for the next few seasons.
It's dangerous.
Exactly, and irresponsible too. And well, the other thing is the Premier League clubs. Where is it? Okay, so I found this on the BBC. It was published 2 days ago that said Premier League clubs committed to completing season, and the only reason is simple finances. Because if they void it and stop it right now, they're not getting paid. I mean, which I get because a lot of clubs they're relying on TV and advertising revenue, but I mean, there's a point in time where you got to think of, the citizens, whether it be of England or any other country, like, because if you're going to let people congregate, it's just going to prolong this even further to the end of the year, at best, So it's just,
Rick?
There's,
Rick, quick point, and then we'll wrap up this conversation, go to questions.
Oh, sorry, I'll be very quick. Regardless of any choice, people are going to be pissed. So just pick a lane.
Well, because there is the argument to have the games behind closed doors, but that argument is invalid. Because if you have the games behind closed doors, there's still going to be 500 people in each stadium. Cameramen, producers, directors, medical staff, trainers, players, support, not supporters, but, support staff. You know what I mean? Even if you have no fans, there's still going to be 500 people in one place. And you can't have that. It's just not viable.
It is a huge dilemma for our time, and this is like a new era that we're all facing. Like I don't think any previous generation has gone through what we're facing with this coronavirus. Yes, there's been other pandemics, but
we started this though. Us losing the Champions League final brought upon the end of the world. I've said that for months. Life was so much better on May 31st, 2019.
Well,
real fast before we.
Yeah, I mean, you say this hasn't happened before, but the leagues did stop when the world wars were happening. So it's not unprecedented that this has happened, where the leagues just went stop for 2 years. Everybody survived, all the clubs survived, and they started up the league again when the war was over. So it's not unprecedented.
It wasn't a worldwide economy in the same way that it is today, though.
A world war.
Economy, the way trade
works. We're splitting hairs there. Let's go to questions.
But, yeah. But I see. I understand your point, Rick, and we're going to move to the next topic. And so I want to go to questions. We have a handful of questions from people. Tommy, you have them ready?
Yes, I certainly do.
Okay, let's maybe Catherine's first.
Sure. This is actually the most soccer or Spurs related, I would say, out of all the questions. So let's do it. Catherine says, if you have one, who has or who was / has been your player of the year and why?
Easy.
For me, it's Lo Celso. I'm gonna jump in first. He was slow to start, but once he got going, he certainly seems like he's the guy that we can build behind after post Eriksen. We've relied on Eriksen for so long, even though I think Eriksen has kind of tapered off and kind of lost his lost that certain edge that he had.
He didn't get his groove back.
Yeah, he never got his groove back. But Lo Celso.
Who's Rick going with? Rick looks like he's ready to just kill someone.
Going forward. It might take a couple years, but I think he could be that guy going forward. So for me, it's Lo Celso.
Well, Lo Celso's been great, but Son should get player of the season for one reason and one reason only: running past 7 Burnley players and scoring from one end of the pitch to the other.
Well, and I was at that game. I was sitting in the south stand when it happened.
Fuck that player of the season just for that.
No, I'm going to say no. Sorry, you're always the person that person scoring a goal for us doesn't automatically mean player of the game or MVP. So so because he scored a great goal should not equate player of the season.
I was kind of joking, but he's been consistent all season, and he scored great goals, and he's been Harry Kane's back up when he's not really a striker in that kind of sense.
He's playing bad when he scores.
Yeah,
This
he
season.
plays bad and scores. He plays good and scores.
Yeah.
He scores when we really needed a scorer.
I agree with Rick.
Comment then.
I agree with Rick, and like I said, I was at that game, and I think the best part about it was that Vertonghen got the assist for laying it off to him in our own box. And I was sitting in the south end just watching him run at it, and that was like a once in a lifetime goal. And Kane had like 2 crackers from outside the box that just became so trivial because of that one. So
because of that one,
But I agree that Son's probably the choice. I'm going to give mine, though, to Serge.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Oh, my God. He's been so good. He's my guy.
Serge has been good.
Yeah.
Tommy,
against all haters, it's been Serge.
No, Anthony, I wasn't agreeing with you with Lascelles. So I know he didn't start as much under Pochettino. I'm like, why the fuck would you pay so much for him to bench him? But that's not my problem. But I think during that time when he played sparingly under Pochettino, you saw the promise. You saw things were building up. Once Mourinho came on, he started playing more. Now I would say he's a de facto starting central midfielder for Spurs, and I think he's done very well. Whether it be the small amount of goals he scored, but the passing and vision has just I've seen glimpses of Luka Modric under him, so to speak. But it's just amazing for what I've seen from that. So that's where I'm going with it. I don't disagree with Son though, even though he has frustrated me a lot in the season, and I've voiced my opinion on that. But yeah.
A couple more quick questions. Who else do we have a question from, Tommy?
Oh, sure. Okay. Let's do. Okay, Kyle Bates from Indy has 2 questions. So let's do the first one. Cliche quarantine scenario. Pick 3 footballers, alive or dead, any team to be quarantined with. So, for example, maybe you want Sol Campbell to be quarantined with, so you can kill him. I don't know.
Okay, I've got 2 people I've met that are amazing people. Like I got to meet Leslie King when he came to Chicago. I would love to be quarantined with the man. Like he was just fun to have at the pub. Like I think he would be a fun person to be quarantined with. I have a person that's not Spurs related that I would love to be quarantined with. Like there's a footballer by the name of Lovell Palmer. He played in the Major League Soccer, and he played for the Chicago Fire for a while. He played for some other teams. Jamaican player, just an amazing human being. Like I hung out with him at parties. Like I would love to just spend some time with this guy, like just because he's a nice guy. He was a mediocre footballer, but he was the type of the guy that you rooted for just because he was such a great human being. So I would pick him for my quarantine. To pick a third, I'll let you guys go before I pick a third. Who?
I already know my 3, and my 3 are dynamite, but I want to hear your 3. I want to hear everyone else's. My 3 are just we're set up for the greatest night ever.
So you next, Lucas. Who do you have?
All right, easiest question of all time. 1 is Spurs, 2 are not. Roy Keane, Vinny Jones, Roy Keane, Vinny Jones, and Pavlyuchenko.
Why Pavlyuchenko?
Because he just seemed like a Russian maniac. Like we could have like what a night that would be. The 4 of us quarantined. Oh, some fun that'd be.
Roy Keane and Vinny Jones would probably kill each other.
That's the fun of it. Like who knows? It's like it's literally like the quarantine just becomes the octagon. And it's just a blast. Everyone's slamming beers. It'd be great fun.
Or if you got rid of Pavlyuchenko, get Darren Ferguson. No, is it Duncan Ferguson?
Yeah,
it would be a murder scene by the end of the night.
No, but he scares the hell out of me. I can't even look at. I wouldn't even be able to make eye contact with him.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not really a drinker that much, so I'd have to pick 3 drinkers. So one would be Ledley King, obviously. He likes a beer. He likes a few beers. Second would be Gaza, obviously. How can you not have Gaza come out and then?
Fuck yeah, that's class.
It'll be an epic night out with Gaza and Ledley King.
He's my third, Rick. You just gave me my third, Rick.
and the all-time, he's dead now, but the all-time ultimate Playboy footballer is George Best. So if you have George Best, Gaza, and Ledley King, it would be the greatest night ever.
To be fair, are we doing is it current or is it like them in their prime?
Either or.
It's
okay, because then I would sub out. If it's prime, I would sub out Pavyachenko for Gascoigne. But he's on the straight and narrow now.
Yeah, he is.
Apparently, yeah.
I don't know what jinx it for him.
No, I think we need to take players that are in their prime of when they were playing.
Then yes, I would go Gascoigne in a second.
Yeah,
okay.
That'd be an epic night out.
Maybe one more really quick question, and then we're gonna wrap things up. We're at 45. We're at 46 minutes.
Yeah.
Wait, let me do my 3 players. Okay, so I said Zlatan, of course, because he's an interesting character. To begin with. Because
You want to be quarantined with them, though?
Well, it depends how big the house is. If it was at his house, I'll be the opposite of the house most of the time. I would have I love Michael Dawson, but he's probably boring as fuck. Let's be fair. Nice guy, but what else am I going to talk to him about? The other one I put is Zidane. I would say he's probably my favorite player of all time. So I think it'd just be cool to hang out with him. And then
yeah, but French people are fair weird.
Well, Algerian French. So
that's worse.
And then the last one is actually a female player, Kosovari Asllani. She plays for Sweden. Look her up. They'll thank me later.
I'm not.
Tommy just cracked the code. We didn't even think about that.
No, I don't think
that's better than all of our. If you're going to be quarantined,
female player.
That's the good thinking, Tom.
Good.
No, I don't think we should include female players because that goes into a whole cultural level.
You have a different idea of quarantine than I do, Rick.
Hey, Kyle left it open ended because he said alive, dead, any team. So he never said males, women, male, women, female. Wherever. So if you want to blame somebody, blame him because it was so open-ended.
Then I changed my answer. Then. It's Roy Keane, Vinnie Jones, and Hope Solo. Proper mayhem.
Well, put it this way. If Kristen Press agrees to go in quarantine with me, there's going to be some carnal stuff happening.
I'm just gonna. Well, I'll say this though.
But you guys realize what we just did?
Forcibly quarantined.
We all just put three men and one woman in quarantine together.
But for the record, though,
sounds like a reality show.
Zidane has a long-term partner, and Zidane is married. So do the math.
But I think this is a good question to wrap things up with. I think this has been a good episode. I think I apologize that our sound quality is going to be way worse than usual because this is a Skype episode, and this is.
I had my phone duct taped to a chair, for God's sakes.
But we made it happen. We got you some content, and I'm proud of that. We're gonna have to use some video content, hopefully, if this all works out, and we will be available on YouTube as well as our normal format. So. This has been a fun time, guys. Thank you so much for the conversation. But I think that about wraps up the episode. So find us on Big Head Media if you're interested in our merchandise. Thanks to Rick for editing and sound. Charlie for the music. let's see, Kevin for social media, Tommy for Backpage update, even though that was about the whole episode, I think, Tommy Backpage update. Kimberly for the logo, and as always, like, give our love to the Atlantic Bar and Grill. Help them struggle to survive by going out and buying their food on Friday nights.
Yes.
They have
Go
food
support the
available.
Atlantic.
Yeah. Hit the subscribe button and write us a review on iTunes if you like our podcast, or check us out and give us a review wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on our on Facebook and at 4 Star Spurs, and our website at 4starspurs.com. I'm slopping up the end of this episode. That's okay.
Well, we should say stay safe, everyone. Look after yourselves. Keep everybody in your family safe, and keep in touch with everybody. Yeah.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you for making it a good end to the episode instead of my sloppy end. But I'm going to end it with "Come on, you Spurs!" Thanks so much, everybody, for listening.
Come on, you Spurs!